Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. Hey, welcome back, everybody. I have found somebody who is truly unique, who helps a unique number of people. So my question is, are you a veteran or someone separated from the military? And maybe you're looking to enjoy that new chapter in your life with your kids or even your grandkids, and you discover, hey, wait a minute, I'm not as athletic or mobile as I used to be. Maybe you've gained some weight. Are you a woman and in the military, maybe a military veteran, and this is resonating with you? I've got somebody who's got a lot of insight, and she works with those people about their unique wellness concerns. She is Coach Lorraine, and she's with us today. Welcome. How you doing, Lorraine?
I'm doing fine, Steve.
Wonderful to have you here, and truly unique in the demographic, if you will, that you offer your services to as a health coach, even a health ambassador to help others become health ambassadors for themselves. Specifically, do you only work with women? I think we need to get that out of the way here now.
Well, see, that's a very good question, and the answer is no. I don't only work with women, but of course, as a woman myself, I identify very well with that segment of my community. But when you think of a woman's health in the family, is almost the center of everything that we do. If the woman's healthy, then the rest of the family is usually healthy right along with them.
Absolutely. And of course, it's such an age-old cliche, but it is so true. The analogy when you get on a plane, you're supposed to put the oxygen mask if it drops down.
On first.
Yeah, on you first and not your loved one, because we need you to be there to take care of them. But it is so true. Before we even get into what you offer, the health reboots, the coaching, even the retreats that you offer, I want to talk about your story, your backstory, in the military and more. Tell us.
Right. So I've been in the Air Force for pretty much 30 years. I was actually born in England when my parents met and got married, and they decided to relocate to Jamaica. And once I completed high school, I migrated to New York, and along my trajectory, I decided a job of service was something I wanted to do, and that's when I enlisted in the military. And that's been a pretty great journey. It's something that under no circumstances would I regret, and I would encourage other people who have that desire to go right ahead and do that. But that has led me through a life of service, and it's something that I've wanted to continue to do even post-military.
And for you to want to help others, where did that come about?
Well, I've had, prior to joining the military, I was in hospitality, hotel and restaurant management. So I have a love and passion for food. And, yeah, I think for those of us who enjoy food, we sometimes tend to overdo it. And pretty much there are some things that I know I did overdo it over the years, but because I was active, and especially being in the military, my conditions were relatively manageable. But as I moved up in rank, and when you move in rank, your job becomes more sedentary. Then that's when you realize the pounds are starting to pack on and not really paying much attention. Like, how did I get to this space? And then eventually I discovered that I was becoming pre-diabetic. And aching joints, little mental fog of different things going on with me. And I started investigating what can I do to make my life better. And I found different ways and different lifestyle changes that helped me manage my health and get me to a point where it's still a journey no matter what, but I can keep myself focused on doing the right things to keep me healthy.
Interesting that you say that as you move up in rank, your health outlook, your body changes. Never realized that.
Yep. Yes, it's one of those things. The young airman is always out on the flight line or running around, turning the wrench, moving boxes. Whereas when you move in rank and you're the supervisor, the manager, you're now sitting behind the desk giving instructions, supervising, doing appraisals and things of that nature, doing plans. And you're not out in the field on your foot as you would when you were younger. And of course, as your body develops, things kind of slow down also. So it's almost like a supply and demand type of thing, use it or lose it. So, yeah, and I think that's even the same thing for most people in any kind of work environment is, when you start out at a job, you're moving around a lot more, and as you rise up in management, you're sitting behind the desk and
Sure.
go home to the wife or the whoever's cooking and eat and to bed and not doing what you need to do.
What did you do over the years to try and improve your health, but then you realize, because I think it'll be very relatable to others, that just didn't work for you?
So, I've tried diets. I did additional exercising more and thinking that would work, which and it did work temporarily, but you realize that those things didn't stick, because by the time you try to go back to what I consider a regular day-to-day life, the pounds would come right back, or the health concerns, the stiff joints, the arthritic type of conditions. Those things would just bounce right back. So if I don't maintain the high exercise and cutting out foods that I love, it all came right back.
Wow. It's such a unique thing that you offer for the people in the military. And again, by the way, I thank you for your service, and I truly mean that.
You're welcome.
Where does it start? Does someone tell you what their goals are? And the whole process, I would love to hear that from you.
Well, there's two things. So there are people who, unfortunately, have been diagnosed with some condition that they want to address, and they need assistance, some kind of guidance of how to get on the right track as to improve their current circumstances. And you have those people who just suddenly realize, you know what, I don't feel as good as I used to feel. I can't do the things. I sit down, even if I sit on the floor, I need assistance to get up, for example. And sometimes under those circumstances, a person decides, you know what can I do? I'm not the young, fit person I was. I'm not going to be doing PT every day because I have to go to work and the requirements that we normally would do in the military. So I look for a coach, just like I look for a coach in any other circumstances, to help guide me or the individual into attaining the health goals that would help turn your life around.
I understand what you're saying, because I've been there in many regards in trying to improve my health. And a lot of times you think you can do it alone. You really can't. It's amazing.
Yeah.
The things that you realize based on when other people tell you. You hear something from somebody, and I think everybody's got a story. So when, somebody unlocks the secret to their road to health, then you realize, oh, wait a minute, I didn't even think about it. Gluten, it really would make me feel that way. I knew that people have challenges with it. Oh, wait a minute. Okay. Now I'm getting it. Now I'm understanding it. What are some things, if you're a military woman and you've devoted your life to service and you've got that discipline, which is interesting because you do have that discipline from the military. Sometimes it doesn't always translate to you and your health, I would imagine. And why would that be?
So in the military, basically because we have evaluations that come up from time to time, this thing to hold us accountable. And that's what's missing from our day-to-day life. Yes, we have this discipline that we try to stick to certain things, but if we don't have the systems in place to hold us accountable, or whatever those systems might be, then we tend to fall off the bandwagon. And also, another great thing is the pressures from people who don't necessarily identify with what's going on with you, the saboteurs, basically. If you're accustomed to having a bagel every day, bagel, toast, all those high-carb meals in the morning, grains, cereal, and that's what's in the house. You might have young kids and other people, and they want to eat those things. They're going to look at you when you're not eating. You're eating eggs or something that's a more protein or fat rich, and they're looking at you, well, why are you eating that? It takes so long to prepare. And then you feel guilty because you're not doing the same as they're doing and not recognizing that, you know what, I need to stick to my guns and maybe even try to coerce them or encourage them in the best way to maybe follow your new way of life as opposed to getting pulled back into what the saboteurs are trying to pull you towards.
Let's talk about the services that you offer. There's many of them. I'd love to even get into the retreats in just a moment, but let's list a few of those and how people can benefit from them.
Certainly. So one of the first things, it's the self-paced program. It's a 21-day optimal health reboot program. And pretty much anyone can sign up for that. It doesn't take much out of someone. There's no coaching. Always there to check in on people as needed. But that's something that someone can do on their own just to kind of lay the foundation of improving themselves and making the appropriate lifestyle changes to put them on the right track. Then what I offer is a 12-week veteran-inspired transformational program, and there is the individual one-on-one as well as group-centered program. So whether someone wants to sign up with a group that's existed or they're coming with a group of their friends or relatives, 4 or more people within a group, they can hold each other accountable and support themselves as we go along the journey of getting through that. There are several educational workshops that I do throughout the year. One of the big ones is actually meal planning, because that seems to be one of the big things for folks. Well, what do I eat? Well, when do I eat? How much do I eat? That type of thing. So the workshop, or the meal planning workshop, kind of helps with that. And then the transformational retreats. So the retreats are for those who are inclined and want that getaway, that pause, essentially. And I think it's always good to take a mental pause to get away from everything that stresses us in life. And I do a weekend retreat here in New Jersey every now and then, as well as once a year a retreat, and we go to my home country of Jamaica and bask in the sun and enjoy the good natural food.
Wagwan.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Well, Wagwan, for anybody that doesn't know, is call it Jamaican for what's going on. And we're learning from Coach Lorraine what is going on to increase your health. Wow. What a great idea. I mean, when you said retreat, right away, you piqued my my interest. That's great. You know, just getting away from everything. But when you say, oh, well, we could do it in Jamaica, and just a wonderful place, near and dear to my heart, but also just eating healthier, cleaner. It just feels good when you think about that.
Yes.
I love the fact that you're talking about groups getting together and working together. So let's say that we resonate in this with women who may be retired or close to retirement, may not necessarily be in the military or were in the military. Would you work with them as well?
Oh, definitely. Health, like I said, my only thing is that I resonate more with the military, folks that have been in the military.
Sure.
But I'm a woman first, so that, of course, resonates with even a wider population. So there's no reason. I think we all have the same health challenges as we go along. It's just that because of certain conditioning and lifestyles that folks in the military have had, by demographically speaking,
sure,
there is a high percentage of military members, because of circumstances, that have certain conditions that may not be as great in the general population.
Absolutely, totally understand it. And you're offering something, be it to those who were in the military, that I truly think can't find anywhere else. So that's, and for that, I thank you. That's very unique. Let's talk about exercise, diet and exercise. Age, since we were born, we've heard that is so impactful, important to us and our health. But what does exercise look like to you for somebody that's trying to make a change? How much should we exercise? What types of exercise? Starting points? All of that.
So the big thing is, in the military in particular, we're always told to almost go to the extreme quite often, because that's always the focus and not on other types of lifestyle changes. There is a balance to everything in life, and too extremes of anything is not good. Exercise should start with whatever you can manage and something that you enjoy and love. If you don't find something that you enjoy, you won't keep up with it. This is, like I said, it's not the traditional military environment where we have to get up and do our PT run or exercise and different things. So what is it that, as an individual, that resonates with you, that you can lovingly enjoy, not necessarily every single day, it might be every weekend, but doing something is extremely important in terms of managing your cholesterol, managing your just general well-being, even your mental health. It may be playing tennis with a friend. It may be having play days with your kids. And there's just certain types of exercises that benefit us. An occasional sprint is always good, because that helps with our cellular development and breakdown of of cells and refreshing our autophagy. Um, Doing long, peaceful walks is beneficial. It doesn't have to be a run. Like even though I said an occasional sprint is beneficial,
Hmm.
but we're not always in a position to be able to sprint. So taking long walks is good not only for your physical self, but for your mental health. And depending on where you live, whether you live in a city environment or in the suburbs, a walk can be very different. So just getting out and enjoying that. Like I said, what's key is doing something that you know that you will enjoy and you will stick with, and not having to do and follow everybody else.
Well, I'm glad you said that because walking is a lot of people minimize how impactful it can be. And some have said that walking is almost as good as jogging. So, number one there. Number two, the sprinting thing. If you can, I've often heard that your body gets used to what you do. So if you're walking for a little bit, or maybe a light jog or something, and if you can sprint, it could be even for 15 seconds to get your heart pumping even faster and then bring it back down again, then bring it back up again, is way better than just continuing at one pace. Again, as long as you're able to do that. What are your thoughts on that?
You're correct, Steve. Doing the incremental sprinting every now and then, if it's a matter when you're walking the dog and you just do a quick run and stop, or let's say today's the day that you have the grandkids, or you have the grandkids, and basically it's always good for kids to run. So you go out and you play ball, and you're playing catch and running, and so it doesn't have to be, you're not trying to make this a chore and something that's intense. Make it fun and loving. If it's not even with the grandkids, even with your partner, playing catch, just any little thing that's going to encourage that type of movement.
Sure.
And it helps with your epidemiology and your cell regeneration. It's very, very impactful.
Yeah. Even in the summertime, when I go to the beach, I bring a Frisbee. It's $6. It's a piece of plastic, and it just feels so good, either if it's with my kids or whoever, just to toss it back and forth. And you're on the beach, your feet, are on the sand. It just feels good. Because typically, what do you do when you go to the beach? Nothing. You sit there, which there's a place for that as well. That's all good. But a lot of times you're not really moving around. So, there's your kick up for maybe 10, 15 minutes, whatever. Throw the Frisbee around. It causes you to run. It's a little bit of a challenge. Even the sprinting. Sometimes I love doing that. And I have a goal. Like, all right, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to count to 10. I'm going to get from here to that point, or let's see how far I get. Again, it's all the change up that makes it kind of interesting and exciting. But how did I think those things? Well, it's because I talk to people like you. That's where we get bored unless somebody motivates us like a coach and also holds us accountable. And I got to believe that's what you do, Coach Lorraine.
Definitely. And I like how you mentioned the feet in the sand, because taking the shoe off, put it in the sand and the grass, it's getting grounded, is extremely important. It gives you that feeling that you can't get anywhere else. So that's great.
Oh, it's so true. And I learned it when I used to occasionally go for hikes and then think, why do I feel better? And then you connect the dots to what people say, well, I'm getting back into nature. Well, now I understand it because there is something there. Our ancestors came from nature. It's so important just for your mental health to even, I know it sounds crazy, touch or hug a tree. You are grounding yourself. Right? And look at our pets. Do they really have a lot of stuff that they have to worry about? All right. They don't have to pay mortgages and they don't have car payments and all that. But they are pretty much grounded 24/7 because they're not wearing shoes and walking on the floor or the ground.
They just lay anywhere and just enjoy that space.
Exactly. Yeah. What would your tip be for somebody that has digestion concerns? I know it's a big issue. We talked about gluten before. Your thoughts on that?
There's a couple of different ways of addressing. Prebiotics are always a good thing to incorporate in your diet, adding anything that's acidic, such as pickles ginger, the pickled ginger, things of that nature. And that's why German health is so great, because they have that. Their salad is a pickled salad in a day-to-day menu. But one of the good things is looking at or exploring elimination diets quite often. It all depends on where you're starting, and trying to identify what are the foods that are impacting your health in a way that's not making you comfortable. And there are so many different forms of elimination diets out there that a coach can kind of walk you through to identify what works for you.
Funny you should say that, because I have found most recently enjoying pickles. I put them in everything, and it's not just the sodium. I know that grabs a lot of people. There's just something about the flavor, but you're saying that it's actually good for you?
No, it definitely is. It helps with your microbiome. It helps build the friendly little things that live in our stomachs or in the digestive system. Yep.
I had no idea. And by the way, I deal with an ulcer issue from time to time, and maybe that was just me, my body saying, hey, these pickles, they're good for you. Eat them. You never know.
You never know.
Yeah, that's evolution. Maybe that's the body saying, "Hey, wait a minute, time to wake up." If somebody
we didn't have refrigeration in the old days, so yes, we had a lot of pickles.
Well, I thought about that as well, and funny you should say that, because it's in my refrigerator, and I'm wondering how long before it expires. I was looking for an expiration date, but I'm sure I've got more time on those than most anything in the refrigerator.
For sure.
Wow. Coach Lorraine, how does it work with you if somebody wants to engage you to begin the process of changing their life and really, really dealing with their wellness in so many different ways? Is it a free consult that you offer?
I definitely do. So they can reach out to me through my website, lorrainecuff.com, and book for a consult. And just so we can see if we're a good match and working together, and kind of go from there, identifying what's the correct path for an individual.
And I can imagine that you can do all of your services, with the exception of the retreats, virtually?
Yes, indeed. Every service is offered virtually, and except for the retreats. And who knows, at some time, I've always heard of virtual retreats also. Might incorporate that at some point.
You're not going to get the same feel as being in Jamaica, but
very sure.
There's something to be said there. All right, final question, kind of curious, coming from you. What did you have for breakfast today?
For breakfast today, so I'm very much into organ meat, and I try to have a high protein. I had actually chicken gizzards and a green vegetable. It's called callaloo, which is it's almost similar to spinach or collard green.
Yep.
So that was with me, and a slice of green plantain, which is a resistant starch, which is better for your digestion.
Interesting. I've heard of how do you say callaloo?
Callaloo, yep.
Yep, I've heard of that from Jamaica. And the plantain, a lot of people equate that to being like a banana. Is there any closeness to that at all?
It's in the same family. It's usually larger, and they eat it either green or ripened. But that has, because it's a heavier starch, it has to be cooked, whether it's ripe or green. Whereas banana, when it ripens, it's a nice sweet banana.
And I've heard that the banana has the highest glycemic index of anything, any fruit that you can eat. Would that be same or close to as the plantain, or not so much sugar?
If it's a ripe, the sweet one, probably very much close. Because it does sweet. It doesn't get as sweet, but it has to be prepared. It has to be cooked. You can't eat it the same way you eat a banana.
Plantain chips, probably not healthy.
No, the quick fix every now and then, but it's better than potato chips, actually.
Well, okay. Thank you for saying that. I feel a little bit better. I love plantain chips. Coach Lorraine, great talking with you. Your website again?
It's lorrainecuff.com.
And that's LORRAINE. Cuff is CUFF.com. LorraineCuff.com. Thank you so much for being here today. Thanks for what you offer to a demographic that I feel is not being served to help them with their health. And I look forward next time we might get a chance to talk.
Thank you, Steve. It was my pleasure.
Thank you. We'll be right back.